anybody can be an engineer. Honestly, it's like we all are problem solvers, like we all, like humans in general, we're meant to like be critical thinkers. We're meant to be like to a certain extent like philosophers. Like if I could do it, I know most people can do it, if not everybody.
Today we have the honor of hosting Cerien Vaidya, who is a four-year engineer that received her bachelor's in energy engineering and mastered in materials engineering. And on top of that, she's a very dear friend of mine who I met back in Massachusetts. And I'm just have the honor and pleasure of having her here today. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see you.
No, it's such a pleasure to see you too. It's been a while. So what inspired you to become an engineer, Serene?
I've always kind of been interested in science and engineering since I was a kid, and I think it really helps that both my parents are in, science field, so I've always kind of leaned towards it. And yeah, I just went to school and did my engineering degree, and it just kept motivating me to keep going, and here I am, I guess.
On your journey of becoming an engineer, did you face any specific challenges?
I mean, yeah, for sure. School was definitely difficult, I did my high school specializing in science and engineering, so being around people who are competitive in that field back in Korea, it was a lot. But yeah, like I think schooling was more challenging than anything else, just getting through my high schooling and then going to my bachelor's and all that.
You mentioned that you went to school in Korea. How different was that, going to school there? And then did you go to college in the States as well?
Yeah, so I did uh, I moved to Korea when I was 13, 14, something
Hmm.
around that age. So like I did my part of my middle school there. I did my high school there. And my high school was heavily science and engineering. Like it was called Korean Science Academy of KAIST, so it was very focused on science. And then I did my bachelor's in Korea at Ulsan National Tech of Science and Institute. It was definitely different from the States. It's definitely different from like where I grew up in Nepal. Like the curriculums are completely different, and I think it definitely make a big difference. Like going into science and engineering field, it was very competitive. Um, a lot of these students in my school, they were all like top of their class growing up, and now they're all put together into one area, and they were all used to being the number one growing up. So like everybody had to deal with like, oh, there are people that's better than me. For me, it didn't make that much difference because I already knew I was still struggling when I was in school. So like I just got really lucky to like get where I was. I think it's also like I was already living in Korea, and so it was just easier for me to apply. And being like an international student, like there were more opportunities because the school had just gone from being all Korean taught, mostly I think
Hmm.
it was mostly Korean or all Korean taught, and then they switched over to like English. So that put me in a better advantage at the time. And yeah, it was just like the curriculums are completely different. Um, Classes were way more competitive. I think I was able to do better in the States because of how competitive it was back in Korea. Like the curriculum is
Oh,
so much more extensive. Um, Professors are way more like strict in a way. Not really, but kind of like compared to how much more liberal it is over here, like in terms
yeah.
of classes. Um,
Hmm.
Korea was definitely different. The culture's completely different. So yeah, that was definitely a big change for me.
For those that are interested in potentially doing school out of the States and in doing an international school, do you think it do you think it matters honestly, like where you are receiving your bachelor's? Like, did you have a difficult time getting the accreditation here in the United States when you did your bachelor's in Korea?
I mean, looking back at it now, I tend to think like, did it really matter that much?
Hmm.
At the time, it felt like everything. Even in Korea, I was like, I have to go to like a good school. I have to go to a school that has like that holds weight, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that made a very, very important, like, that was a very important factor for me. And I don't know, like, I mean, I think I was more focused on applying to places that had good programs by the end of the day. I looked at like the professors from the different universities that were the type of research that they were doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
focused on like, since I was trying to go for my master's and I was trying to go for like, I was thinking about doing my PhD too, but I ended up not going that route. But when I was thinking about doing my PhD, I was honestly like more focused on the lab, the research group, the professor, you know, what kind of credit does the professor have and how many publications are they having, like
Mm-hmm.
publishing every year, because that gave you an idea, okay, you know, this lab is producing like 3 to 4 research papers a
Mm-hmm.
year. So the chances of me being able to like do good research, good
Mm-hmm.
enough research to publish, the chances are higher. So I can put my name out there even more. So I think that made a big difference. As for Korea, I didn't really think about um, moving out of Korea at the time. I was
Mm-hmm.
already kind of immersed in the Korean culture, and there were only a few schools that I was looking at. Like those were the only focus for me at the time, and I got into, thankfully, I got into one of them, and I think the other very important factor was my parents weren't making enough money. Like when I was in high school, my parents were still doing their PhD. So, you know, all three of us were students at the time. So we weren't making much money. And Korean schools, you know, they have good scholarship programs, especially for international students. And even if I didn't have scholarship, I would be able to somewhat afford it.
Mm-hmm.
That made a big difference. I couldn't even fathom moving to the States for my bachelor's. I'm like, I can't afford that. Like
Yeah.
that's just like not even in my peripheral at all. Like
Right.
I can't afford it. Um, and like in the school that I went to, they had like these tier programs. So like the total GPA you would get is 4.3, which would be like A plus. So if
Mm-hmm.
you, I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I think it's like if I get below 2.7 GPA, you have to pay full scholarship, like full
Wow.
tuition.
Okay.
If my GPA is between 2.7 and 3.3, I think, then I get half scholarship. And then anything above 3.3, you get full ride. So that was a good motivating factor too. And also, I think like even if I had to pay full scholarship, I would be looking at 6, 7 grand a year. So which was way more doable. I couldn't think about doing it. I'm sure it's increased over time, but that's how much it was back then. And back then, I mean, like I went to college in 2013, graduated in 2017. So it wasn't that long ago.
Is there anything that you feel like you learned from school that really helped apply into the real world?
Discipline, honestly, more than anything else. Like like dealing with um just the pressure of deadlines and the pressure of like multitasking. And just dealing with like anxiety and depression in general. Like I think that really helped a lot. Yeah, honestly, those were like more than like obviously there were, you know, a bunch of different classes that helped me, and like making sure that I did like these like co-op class programs, like independent researches in school. It really helped me get more hands-on in the labs, helped me understand different instrumentations that would be helpful in the future, like just kind of getting myself out there and like working with different machines and different instruments, like really helped kind of put myself out there more and have my build my resume better. But I mean, I don't really do most of the stuff that I did my research in my
Mm,
current job, but it
mhm,
definitely taught me what it means to like be disciplined and what it means to multitask and what it means to like work under pressure and what it means to work with other people from different backgrounds, you know. So
mhm.
that definitely is like the biggest asset that I was able to receive from school.
And talk going back to your day to day. What does your day to day look like? What does a day to day look like for an engineer?
I drink a lot of
Roughly.
coffee. I start my day with coffee. I end my day with coffee. Um, yeah, sending a lot of emails, getting anxiety about sending a lot of emails. I don't know what it is, but like I hate sending emails.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's like a millennial thing
I
or
don't know. It's like
what,
you
but it's just
overthink it. You're like, this
yeah,
email.
I'm always
Yeah.
especially when you're like when your boss is CC'd on it. I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure I write this, otherwise
You know what?
something's
Let
gonna
me
happen.
chat GPT it.
But I'll like double check with them on certain ones. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I mean, there's no like typical day to day with my job. Like we're most of the time like a lot of I have a few project based work that I do, but my day to day is just putting out fires most of the time. Like, this machine breaks down. Why is it not working today? It was working a couple hours ago, but now it's like acting up. So you go out and you try to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on with it. And then once you kind of like get that going, then you like go back to your office. Then I try to like finish the project that I'm working on. A lot of it is tool design stuff for the assembly production. So just spending a lot of time on SolidWorks, like doing CAD designs. And then there'll be another issue, and then you're going out there and trying to figure out
Mhm.
what's wrong, and then because I'm communicating and I'm interacting with a lot of different people, and it's not just like a lot of the time it is like blue collar people out on the shop floor. So like we'll chit chat for a bit, talk about our day to days, and then like it's just like back and forth. It's just a lot of moving around and like just trying to put out fires, I guess. And yeah, honestly.
What is like a project? Yeah, like could you summarize like maybe a project that you're working on, like for somebody that's like, okay, what does my day look like an engineer? What would I have to actually do?
So so I work as a manufacturing engineer for a valve company. Like we manufacture, assemble, test valves, valve automation stuff like actuators, and then we also work with. We recently started working with pumps, and so it's just like going through the assembly line and optimizing the assembly line, and making sure like everything is working well, everything is safe for the operators out on the shop
Mhm.
floor, and it's easier, making sure that the quality and delivery of like all these different like product lines are good and on time. And then the other major part would be to like standardize these operations, because you have the same procedure that is documented and that you standardize, but we have 20 different people working on it. And if it's not documented, then, one person might do it a certain way, one person might want to do it another way. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like bringing all these people together and then just kind of figuring out like, okay, what would be the best, most ergonomic, most safe, most comfortable way for you to like perform these tasks. So it's a lot of just going back and forth and talking to people and figuring out what works best for them. But yeah, that kind of most of the stuff that I do.
Engineering often requires like continuous learning. How do especially with AI, how do
Mhm.
you stay up to date with all the latest technology and, all this stuff that's happening?
I have a love-hate relationship with AI.
Really?
It's
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely helped me a lot. Like, I mean, if I need to like um just like kind of like quickly look something up that I don't want to Google it or go through the paper, I'll just like chat GPT it, have it summarize it for me. Like that really helps. If I'm reading some kind of like article and I don't have the time to like go through all of that, I'll throw that article link into ChatGPT and ask it to like quickly summarize and give me all the bullet points. So that is really helpful. At work, like we use, Microsoft Teams, and then like one of the things that's big on it is Copilot, which is also an AI program, and it helps summarize a lot of different like data that you have. So it's a good tool to have. It is a bit of a learning curve, and it doesn't always like give you the right answers, or you tend to rely on it a little too much. So like it just takes over your life a little too much sometimes. So like
I can see that. Yeah.
yeah, like your like critical thinking skills can kind of diminish. So you have to be very careful about that. And then, I mean, that's my biggest exposure to AI. I'm sure there's a lot of, I mean, there are a lot of different applications with AI, but I am not as immersed in it as most people, especially with like other departments, because a lot of my stuff is very hands-on, going out onto the shop floor and like working with different machines. I'm not really doing much AI, I suppose, but it does help me kind of like go back and forth and brainstorm different ideas of troubleshooting different machines. So like, I just have like these different chats going on with ChatGPT talking about like, hey, why is this machine not working? Like, and then I'll give it all the technical
That's
information
cool.
of where we bought this machine, and this machine is like 20, 30 years old, but I'll give it, the background information, and then it'll kind of help me troubleshoot it. And I'm still not like giving away company data, but I'm
I was
working
gonna
with
say, yeah.
troubleshooting different, yeah. It is a fine line, but at the same time um I'm using information that's already out there about these machines. These aren't like proprietary to my company. They're just
Right.
machines you can find, online. So but then
So
if there's
just
some issues with it, like it really helps me troubleshoot it, and kind of like brainstorm different ideas and such.
no, that's a good, yeah. What would you say is like the biggest misconception about being an engineer, especially a female engineer? I mean, yeah, what is the biggest misconception, and how do you break those stereotypes?
Um, Biggest misconception. I I don't know if it's a misconception. It's kind of what it is. It's just like you have to have a bit of a thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you work with a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different fields, and like, sometimes like you have to collaborate with people that, you might not like naturally gravitate towards. So being able to kind of be a diplomat in a way, be able to work with different people, that I think is very important. It's not just about being smart. It's not just about um like what GPA you had in school, what classes did you take, like those. If you do become the top in your class, that, I mean, that is important, but you need to have the people skills to like make sure you maintain those relationships. I feel like that's kind of important. Like I thought, in school, my SAT scores were the number one thing. And then after that, like getting into the best school was the number one thing. After that, it's like, oh, I have to finish my school by this age. I have to do this, that. Like it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You just do your job and you can pay your bills. I mean, and you're happy with what you do. Like that's all that really matters. Like I don't do it. Most of the stuff I do, I didn't do that in school, but I'm happy with what direction I went in life. Like I tried to plan my life, but it didn't go that way, and I'm completely fine with it. I'm happier.
I was gonna say that, like, your expectation of what it was and what it actually is. How did that differentiate?
Um, I think, I mean, realistically speaking, I think I was just at that point where once I was done with school, uh, as I was working through my like trying to get my work authorization visa to work in the United States, COVID happened, so it was just like
Mm.
stuck at home all the time.
Yeah.
And then so when I finally got the job, I was like, I can pay my bills now, you know? Like, I think that was the biggest motivating factor. And it's like it 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 just like all this like idea I had in my head, and this direction that I wanted to go in life, like it didn't matter anymore. Once I got a job and I was in the work field, and I gained a certain level of independence, and I had the engineering title that I could put on my LinkedIn, and actually enjoy the work that I do, and be surrounded by a really great team, like team that really matches my energy. That honestly, like that that made all the difference. Like that made me realize like everything else was not that important. Like I am happy with where I am, and like it didn't go the direction I wanted to go, but it didn't crush me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to do what I am doing right now. Like, I be happy if I was doing something else? I don't know, maybe, but this is the direction that life took, and it's been going good. I don't really have much to complain on that end.
That's awesome. Yeah. No. So, what would you say is your, favorite part of your job and your least favorite part of your job?
Ooh. Favorite part of my job. Did I say paying bills? Um, I don't know. Like, favorite part of my job, I think I just having something to look forward to and being surrounded by all the people that I work with and being able to help, like, when we have to put out these fires and when something works, and like, because I am working directly with, like, quote unquote, like, the end user. So, like, most of the stuff that I do, it's to make sure that the operators out on the shop floor have a easier time doing what they're trying to do. So when you deliver that, when you fix a machine, or you make different tools for them, whether it be like fixtures, or like different, like, purchasing tools, something that was more ergonomic and helpful for them. And they genuinely look so happy. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, this really helps. Like, this is going to make my job so much easier. That just, like, gets me all giddy. It's just like getting that instant gratification. Like, oh my God, I made somebody's day a little easier.
Mhm.
That makes all the difference for sure. Like that, like, from day one, like, I wasn't sure what I was, like, what I got myself into. But when you see their face and they're like so happy, it just feels like, okay, I'm doing something right. So that made a big difference for sure. That kept me going. But the worst part of my job, I think, it's just like sitting in meetings.
Mm.
Meetings,
Yeah.
those can be, like, lengthy, and, like, by the end of the day, I am still working in a corporate field. So sometimes it just feels like we're going in circles, and, like, with certain emails, or like certain calls and all that stuff. It's just like it can feel repetitive for sure. That
I could see that.
corporate life can be a little too much.
Yeah, the going in circles for sure. Would you say
Hmm.
is there, for anybody that's interested in this in the career field, is there a certain personality that you need to have? Like, what person should not be an engineer? I guess that's the best way.
Anybody can be an engineer. Honestly, it's like, we all are problem solvers, like, we all, like, humans in general, we're meant to, like, be critical thinkers. We're meant to be, like, to a certain extent, like, philosophers. Um, and, like, that, like, we all want to problem solve. So it's like, I think you just have to find the right field, I think, and the motivation. You can be an engineer. Like, if I could do it, I know most people can do it, if not everybody. You just have to have that drive to do it. And I think one of the things that would really help engineers and, like, science and engineering field is people skills. You got to have people skills. I know it's, like, kind of a stereotype to a certain to, like, be an introvert in engineering, and I totally understand it. But you can really, like, get far in the career if you have people skills. If you have to have you have to learn how to, like, collaborate with other people. A lot of the times that's not the case, and it can be a little difficult to, like, work with certain people that are more reserved. Like, you can't really get more ideas out of them. Like, and by the end of the day, we're all working in teams. So if you don't have the people skills, it's gonna get harder for sure. It's not that you can't make it, it's just going to be harder, in my opinion.
No, yeah, and I guess it's something that people love to know and to talk about because I feel like a lot of times growing up, you hear that engineering is a secure job, but it also say about the money. What would you say is if you could share, is what is the least amount of money that you can make, or like starting off as an engineer, and what is the most amount of money that an engineer could possibly make?
Um, I think it really depends on what field you're going into. You could be making, I hope not, but like, like less than 20 bucks an hour as an engineer. I could see that being a real possibility depending on what field you're in. If you're in a very like niche in work environment, like niche projects that you're working on, like companies, that can be that can be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. But but you could also be in, in computer science and make like almost $250,000 a year.
If somebody's watching this, somebody's listening to this, what is your biggest advice to them that someone that is interested in being an engineer?
I think the one advice that I would give is um, learn to speak up for yourself. I think that is very, very important. That's something that I had to learn, like as I got into the field and learn to say no, because especially being in a corporate world or being in just being in workforce, the more you say yes, the more you try to like show yourself. Uh, it can get it can get pretty rough. Like the more you're gonna have to do more work. So I think that would be my biggest advice.
If people want to find you and ask more questions or, have more questions about whether school or engineering, what is the best way that they can reach you?
LinkedIn, Instagram, those are like the two big ones. Especially, I feel like LinkedIn was pretty helpful when it comes to, you know, job related, career related stuff. So
Well, I'm going to drop Cerien's LinkedIn. And if you guys have any questions about engineering or even studying internationally, please message Cerien. Thank you so much, Cerien, for today and your wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate you coming here today. I really
thank you
enjoyed
for
our
having me.
interview.
Thanks for clocking in with us. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you got a career you'd like to see, message us on Instagram. We're always listening. Till next time, it's time to clock out.